I was planning on doing a different topic this week, but something happened recently that I felt like that I had to share. You know, I haven't bought any speakers or electronics new in many, many years because I find that buying used, secondhand is a tremendously better value than buying new. The places where I usually shop for gear are Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, shopgoodwill.com, and occasionally I'll go to a thrift shop, but as we all know, there's slim pickings there. I've really been intrigued by Magnepan speakers for many years. I've never actually owned a pair, and perhaps I heard a pair back in the 80s, but there are these ribbon style flat speakers that people rave about. What makes them so special is that they radiate sound from every square inch of their surface, front and back, not just from single points. Behind the grill cloth are sheets of mylar film with electrically charged wires mounted to them. The electric signals vibrate the film at different frequencies to produce sound. I've heard them described as transparent and lifelike, and they lack the bossiness of conventional speakers. Last week I spotted these Magnepan SMGAs on Facebook Marketplace for $300. These are 30-year-old models and have an excellent reputation. Now, these speakers are generally great, but don't always age well. A common issue is when the wires start to become detached from the mylar film and begin rattling when playing music. So what you have to do is remove the old cement and kind of glue them down again with new cement, and that fixes them. It's not a particularly difficult process, but it's very time consuming and tedious. So I sent the seller a message inquiring about them. I had no intention of paying $300, but my technique is to introduce a little bit of doubt into their condition or value and then ask if she was flexible on her price. So let me say here that most of the time I deal with older guys like me when it comes to buying and selling hi-fi gear. And when it is a woman, it's usually because she's selling something that belonged to her husband or father, and they have really not much interest in them except that, they just want them out of their house. So sometimes that's an advantage to me because they're really not aware of their value. So to my surprise and delight, the next day the price was slashed from $300 to $150. So obviously the next step is to try to arrange to see the items you're trying to buy. So it's a matter of timing and logistics to get that done, because my schedule and the seller's schedule, often don't exactly match up. So it sometimes takes a bit of work, and often this is the most challenging aspect of buying something in this manner. So I finally received a response, but it wasn't from the seller. It was from a friend or a family member who were a bit annoyed that they were getting messages from me about something that didn't have anything to do with them. The next message I received was not promising. This friend or family member is pretty irritated now, and I was becoming discouraged by this, and I started to doubt that this transaction was ever going to happen. So the next day, I noticed that she'd increased the price to $200. Annoying, but I wouldn't consider it a deal breaker yet. Now, I mentioned that I noticed the price increase, and her response was a little confusing. She said she increased the price because her sister was livid at the $150 price cut. Is she selling them for her sister now? I'm still trying to make this happen. And after reading more about these speakers, I try to get a little more information from her and schedule a visit. So she sends me a pleasant reply, and it appears she's trying to work with me about, scheduling this. Then I get this message. The seller's now saying that the speakers are probably worth $400 or $500, but maybe, perhaps in perfect condition, but I'll never pay full price for gear. So I'm thinking, you sold these already to somebody else for $400 or $500? What's going on? And then things get really odd. Look at this reply. So the message is that someone is coming the following morning at 11:30, and if I get there before them, the speakers are mine, and that they were worried that they were getting ripped off, and she needed the money to get the power turned back on for her kids. And I'm like, what? And you know what? I'm still into this. I'm still caught up in it. And I really want those speakers. I really want those Magneplaners. I'm already imagining where they're going to go and how I'm going to hook them up. So I tell the seller, I'll be there at 10 a.m. to make sure I get them. Everyone knows the term, I'll sleep on it. And I'll sleep on it basically means, let me go to bed and maybe in the morning I'll feel differently. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I wake up in the morning and I'm starting to have some serious doubts about this deal. So I'm thinking, why is this deal so odd? This should be simple. You agree on a price, you arrange to pick up the gear, you give them the money, you shake hands, you say, thank you very much, nice doing business with you, have a nice life, goodbye. So I made a decision and messaged her saying that I was no longer interested in the speakers. Now, at first she was confused and angry. She was explaining that it was one of her children who sent me those strange messages about the speaker's value and the buyer and the power being turned off. She said that her boy was a brat and she was going to whip his butt. She expressed that he wanted the speakers for himself and was trying to interfere with the sale. She then lowered the price back to $150 and asked me to reconsider. And I declined. You know, I can't believe how hard I was working trying to get the deal on these speakers. And that's what happens. You get caught up in this frenzy, this like ribbon speaker fever I had. Thought I was getting a good deal, but very happy I slept on it and came to my senses. Now, this probably was a legitimate deal, and I don't think, in hindsight, I don't think I was being scammed, but I really didn't want to get caught up in this lady's weird universe and her kids and all that. I just want to keep it simple. No drama, no strangeness, no nonsense, please. So I think I made the right decision. I've got no regrets. And you know, I'm still looking for a good deal on a nice pair of Magneplanar speakers.